What's going on, everybody? This is Jonathan Rears from the Baseline Podcast. Got Nitzan Aaron here, and before we introduce our guest, this is our last final episode at Audioversity with Reichman University. We've recorded 66 episodes here. This is the 66th one. We really have had so much help from Yvonne Sabah, Tomer Frischman, shout them out, and everyone who helps us with the production crew. We wouldn't be where we are today without them, and they really taught us everything. This really just started as a class project, and it's become a platform for overseas players throughout the whole world. And what better way to wrap this up than to have a Maccabi legend, a Davidson legend, Jake Cohen. Thank you for coming on, man.
Wow, that's quite the introduction. Thank you. I appreciate that very much.
Yes, sir. So Nitzan's just going to run through your career, where you've been at, and we'll get started.
Just do a real quick introduction of you to all the listeners. So We'll start off with, you're from Pennsylvania.
That's right.
You then went 4 years at Davidson in North Carolina, where you didn't average less than 10 a game your entire career there, which is incredibly impressive. You then signed with Maccabi Tel Aviv, had a little stint with Rishon LeZion, played in Greece, played in Spain, but almost your entire storied, incredible career has been with Maccabi Tel Aviv.
Yeah.
So we usually start these episodes with an icebreaker.
Okay.
So let's see how deep we can go with this one. When basketball stopped being your job, what part of your identity was hardest to let go of?
That's an excellent question. I tried always to keep in mind that basketball was a small part of my identity. Yeah, it's what people associated with me. Obviously, being a tall person, people are going to look at you and think basketball player. And then in Tel Aviv, people recognize my face because I play for Maccabi. But that being said, I was always cognizant of not attaching too much of my self-worth and value to being a basketball player, because I knew at some point it was going to end. I thought it would end at a much younger age than it did, but I always thought it would be more healthy for me long term to think of myself as a hard worker, a good teammate, a good person, a constant learner, as opposed to a basketball player. All those things, I think, made me a good basketball player. But what they really did was they prepared me for retiring well, so that when I did retire, it's not like, who am I now? I'm still all those other characteristics, just the basketball part stopped. The hardest part was just telling people that I no longer play basketball, because people see a tall person and they're like, oh, you must play basketball. And I didn't have a good answer. Like, well, I just retired, blah, blah, blah. No one cares. It's just, yes, I used to, is kind of what I've come up with now. So it used to be a really easy answer. Yes, I played for Maccabi Tel Aviv. Oh, cool. But now it's I used to, and then keep it moving.
That's well said, and that must be tough. But looking back now, what skill from basketball actually did prepare you best for life after the game?
Oh, it's not just one thing. I mean, sport is the ultimate, teacher in life. I think that's why people love watching sports so much, is because it's just a little microcosm of what happens in our day-to-day lives outside of sport. You learn how to prepare yourself. You learn how to deal with pressure. You learn how to deal with losing. You learn how to deal with winning. You learn how to deal with bad teammates. Can I curse on the podcast?
Yeah.
Okay. You learn how to deal with assholes. You learn how to, you learn how to learn from great coaches. You learn how to deal with difficult people. All these things are part of the job of a basketball player. But kind of going back to my last answer, all that still applies to whatever you're doing next. So I thought about that for a long time, because I saw a lot of teammates struggle with what happens after they retire, and they kind of have this period where they drift aimlessly. And I wanted to have a very focused idea of what I wanted to do, and I wanted to be working on myself so that I was ready for it when the time came. I just never thought it'd be 12 years. I thought initially I was going to be done after Davidson. I thought getting a Division I scholarship was the coolest thing in the world, because no one from my high school had gotten a Division I scholarship in like 25 years. So I was like, okay, this is awesome. I thought I'll study economics and I'll go to work in an office after my Davidson career is over. And then 12 years later, so it was all just gravy on top.
So before we go all the way back to what started your love for the game, you mentioned that you were noticing what other players were doing post-career. So when you were 9th, 10th, 11th year pro, were you already starting to prepare yourself for life after basketball?
Oh, yeah. Even before that. I hate to feel unprepared for things. I had a moment my freshman year at Davidson where I had 4 free throws with under 30 seconds left to win the game against Cornell. Did you see this? I just wrote about it on LinkedIn. Yeah. So I was in Madison Square Garden a couple of weeks ago, and it took me back to that game because we're playing a really good Cornell team. And we lost because I didn't prepare myself to make free throws under pressure. I didn't prepare myself to be a great free throw shooter, and we lost the game. And from then on, I kind of took it as my mantra that I'm going to be as well prepared as I can. And then however the ball bounces, I can't control that. All I can control is how well I've done my job and prepared. Some days the ball goes in, some day the ball doesn't. Some day the refs make a bad call. Whatever, you can't control that stuff. But the idea being I can control how I prepare myself for everything in basketball. So I thought I need to have a backup plan if I get hurt, if teams don't like me, if family situation changes. I want to have a fallback plan. That's just how I operate. I'm a planner. So pretty much ever since I started, I wanted to have a fallback plan. I wanted to be working towards something else because basketball is an amazing job, one of the best in the world. But it also has a tendency to kind of turn your brain to mush because if you just play basketball and go home and like play video games or, stare at a screen all day, you're not exercising the kind of all the different parts of your brain. So I was like constantly trying to learn new things, learn how to play keyboard, learn how to play chess, learn language to varying levels of success. But yeah, I was always preparing for those things and just trying to keep myself active because I noticed like in my first year or two overseas, I felt like I was getting dumber because I was just playing basketball and not working on those other parts of myself. And then as I got older, preparing for that second career was part of that too. What do I notice about my teammates? Like, well, a lot of them struggle with financial literacy and investing their money and doing it smartly. And because of my background, my dad traded options and futures and currency and very complicated investing things. My uncle was a financial advisor. My grandfather was a financial advisor. So it was very much our dinner table conversation, like around finance. So my very first paycheck was invested. It just wasn't even a question. And I saw so many of my teammates struggling with that. And I was like, well, this could be a really good space because I can help them understand that. I can understand their lifestyle. I can relate to them. And I think I'll be someone that they can trust more, which is, 90% of it in that business is just having that trust factor that you're going to do a good job for them and take care of them. So
before we dive more into that,
that was a long answer.
No, that's incredible, and trust me, we're also going to hit on that again.
A big part of what we do is we try and go from the beginning. So I
jumped all around there.
So you jumped all around, so we want to get into it, but let's go back.
So let's just take us back all the way to the beginning of first time you had a ball in your hand, that love for the game. Where'd that come from?
From my family, my dad in particular. My dad played basketball and baseball at Haverford College, which is a Division III school outside of Philadelphia. And sports is just a huge part of our family. And me being the little brother, my older brother, who by many accounts you could say is the better athlete. Like he was, first team all-league in 3 sports as a senior. Football as the quarterback, basketball as the small forward, and baseball as the starting pitcher. And so I was just like trying to keep up with him most of my life and playing basketball with them. And my dad had a Sunday morning pickup run that he organized at his old high school. And I would tag along and go to that and watch these, mostly former college players, but just some other guys from around, get a workout in, but also just have fun playing basketball and playing it the right way and just enjoying each other's company and the exercise. And that was the first introduction to how beautiful basketball can be. It's like these people who are relative strangers, like they're not best friends. They just all come together on a random Sunday morning to play basketball and enjoy each other and enjoy playing. And I remember when I was first old enough to like play, I was the last pick, right? Because I'm like 12 or 13. I'm super awkward. And then, fast forward to like 3 years later, probably when I was 16, I was probably like the first pick in the Sunday morning pickup runs. And then we were off from there. So definitely family. We just had this attitude towards sports. That's where most of our interactions come from with my dad and my brother, is around sports.
So growing up outside of Philly, were there AAU days still happening? Like, was that just starting out? High school basketball, what was that like for you?
I wasn't super involved in AAU until I got older. I didn't start playing serious AAU until I was 16 because I was playing all three sports too. I was playing football, basketball, and baseball. And then the summer was a mix of all three.
Would you play in baseball?
I was a pitcher.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love to pitch. I should have tried to keep going, but
I think it worked out.
Yeah,
I think it worked out.
I had a better future in basketball, and that became clear by the time I was 16. You don't see any 6'10" quarterbacks in the NFL, and you don't see very many 6'10" pitchers except for Randy Johnson.
Right.
But it became clear when I was 16, like I could potentially get a scholarship. Let's start to take this seriously. And I also loved basketball the most. It was just the one that clicked with me the most. And I loved to play it. And starting at 16, I played for Kyle Lowry's AU team, which was called Team Philly at the time. It's called Kalo Elite now. But that was an amazing experience with great people who looked out for me and got me exposed to all sorts of different levels of the game. And it was great to have to go from the suburbs into the city and play all those guys like in the summer. Was a great experience for me.
Did you have any type of, driver or competition with your family to say, I want to be the best at my sport? You had your dad who played, you had your brother who played. Was one of the things driving you, the fact that you wanted to be the best in your family at it?
For sure. We were a very competitive bunch, but I think more than that was I wanted to break the mold and get a Division I scholarship. Mm-hmm. That was my main driver growing up. You could make a strong argument that was because no one else in my family had gotten one. My brother played football at Dartmouth, which is non-scholarship. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it was definitely a motivating factor, but I wouldn't say it wasn't the number one. How much weight you want to put on it is a good question, but we were a very competitive bunch. There was a lot of trash talking. My uncle, my dad, my brother, they were talkers. So yeah, it helped. Definitely helped push me.
You get those Division I offers. I'm sure it wasn't just Davidson on the phone, and you ultimately pick Davidson. This is also, let's say, like you're a senior already, second semester of high school, your final year. You're getting the phone calls. You're seeing what Steph's doing that year at Davidson. Yeah. That's like happening now. You see Davidson, they call you up. What made Davidson so special that you wanted to go there and ultimately be there for 4 years?
Yeah, it's a fun story because Davidson started recruiting me a little bit earlier than other big programs that were. I had a great weekend somewhere. Reebok U. I had a breakout weekend there, and I got big offers from Stanford and Cal and I think Nebraska too. So I had bigger offers than Davidson, but Davidson was on me earlier. And when I got the Stanford offer, I kind of thought it was, okay, I'm going to go to Stanford. That's really hard to turn down. I didn't think I was going to be a pro, so let's get the best degree possible. And so I scheduled my visits. I went to Stanford first. That was great, but you know me, I'm a backup guy. I'm a planner. So let's do Davidson as the next weekend, just to have something to compare it to have a plan B. And when I went to Davidson, everything felt perfect. I loved Coach. I loved the way the guys hung out with each other, how close the team was. I loved how small the campus was and how familial the atmosphere was. There's nothing wrong with Stanford. A lot of people ask me that, like, what'd they do wrong? There was nothing. It's a beautiful place. There were great people there. But Davidson just felt right in my stomach, and I just knew I had to go there afterwards. And Steph was the host on my visit, which probably helped, but it was much more about the coach and the atmosphere amongst the guys. A lot of the other coaches, when they're recruiting you, they're blowing a lot of smoke at you. You're going to be an NBA player. You're going to do this, be that. You're going to, get 20 minutes a game as a freshman. And you just get the sense they're saying that to everybody. And Coach McKillop he did an in-home visit, and he came into my kitchen at my dad's house. He's got this great New York accent. He's like, I'm going to kick your fucking ass, Jake. I'm going to work so hard to make you great. And I love that. Like, that's what I wanted to hear. This is a guy who's not going to promise me anything. He's just going to make me the best player I can be. And that is exactly what I needed. And he took me from being a high school player into signing with Maccabi Tel Aviv out of Davidson. So I owe him a lot, and that was a really good decision I made.
I think that's really impressive because so many players, I think, look for that immediate validation of saying, I'm going to go play 20 minutes. Oh, I'm going to be a one and done and get drafted. Where did this come from where you said, I want to get my ass kicked? I want to go in and do this?
It probably comes from my dad. My dad was always, a hard teacher. He instilled on us from a young age that if you're going to do something, you better do it properly. And there's no easy road. And people are being nice to you. They're doing it because it's either in their best interests or they're trying to get something from you or whatever the case may be. That was kind of the philosophy that was instilled on my brother and I, that if you want to get really good at something, it's going to be difficult and it's going to be hard. And something he would always say was, if it was easy, everyone would do it. And I didn't want to just take an easy path. I thought it would have been easy to go to Stanford because obviously they're the biggest offer. They're the most prestigious university. And that's not why I didn't go there, but it was part of it. Is like, this is going to be harder to succeed at Davidson because it's a smaller school, because the coach is going to be harder on me. There won't be as many opportunities, but everything just felt right. These weren't the thoughts that I articulated. It just felt that way in my gut. And I've always been a big believer when your gut's telling you something, you got to listen.
So what ended up happening there in your first year? You only played 12 games, but of those 12 games, you did average 23 minutes a game. So
Davidson?
At Davidson.
No, I played every game.
Played every game?
Yeah.
So we got that wrong here. I don't know. This website, I guess, is not doing us right.
Yeah,
so
I think I played almost 30 that game.
Almost 30?
I entered the starting lineup in like game 6 or game 7.
That sound right? Around like 23, 24 minutes a game?
Yeah.
So you talked about other coaches promising, oh, you're going to play 20, whatever. He said he's going to kick your ass. He made you from a high school player to a college player, ultimately a pro player. Mm-hmm. What happened there that you ended up getting into the starting lineup? What was making you so successful so quick?
I think a few things. First of all, I think I was better than they thought I was when I got there a little bit. What I could do is back then is I was more of a post-up player. I would just catch the ball in the post and I would go to work, just one-on-one post moves. And there isn't a whole lot of that back then, so a lot of guys didn't know how to defend that. But also the team had just lost Steph Curry. So a lot of them didn't know how to play without him. They were just, used to Steph scoring 35 a night, dishing out another 6 or 7 assists, and that's 60% of your scoring right there. And so the Davidson team that I walked into, they didn't really know how to create more offense. So for me and my roommate, who was another freshman, we were the 2 leading scorers on the team because we didn't know any of that. We were just, let's go hoop, see what happens. And we were aggressive, and we were kind of, because we didn't know any better. When you're fresh, I look back, my first game is against Butler, at Butler. And that's the team that Lost in the Final Four that
With
year.
Brad Stevens.
Yeah, Brad Stevens,
Gordon Hayward. Yeah.
Matt Howard, Sheldon Mack. They were loaded. And I think I scored 8 or 10 points that game. But I'm like, I'm looking at myself, why are you shooting this shot? This is like a 16-foot, one dribble pull-up. Like, you never shoot that, and I made it. But you just have this irrational confidence when you're 18. And, I can't explain it, but we were just ready for the moment, I guess. And Coach gave us that opportunity, and we never looked back. And then from there, once I had established myself in that starting lineup, it was pretty much set that I was like the key part of the offense.
Did you see yourself becoming a leader so quickly? And we talked about being at home so competitive with your father, your brother, your uncle. Did that set you up to be the leader that you ended up becoming there?
Well, I didn't become a leader at Davidson for quite some time. Like, there were really good leaders there, and that was something that I was trying to learn from them, because I saw how well they did, how they looked out for younger guys, how they treated their teammates, how they interacted with their coaches, how they prepared themselves, how they handled school and basketball, all that stuff. They were great leaders at Davidson, and I don't think I stepped into that leadership role at least until my junior year. So it took some time. One of the things I always tried to do as a basketball player was I just would steal stuff from other people, whether it's like their stretching routine or how they lifted or their workouts. If they're really good at something, I'm going to try to figure out how and why they're good at it, and I can incorporate it into my. And it was the same thing is true for the leaders I worked with. How they talk to their teammates, I would just make a mental note of it. Like, oh, that's a really effective way of talking to somebody. That's different than I would have done, but the guy responded in a much better way. So that took a while of just like sitting back and watching and learning and understanding that when you're a freshman, you're not going to be a leader unless you're a really special kind of person. And I wasn't that. I wasn't ready for that. But thankfully we had leaders on the roster that helped me. And the same thing was true when I got to Maccabi, by the way. I wasn't ready to be a leader, and I thankfully had great ones to learn from, which I think had a huge impact on my career, like having Sean James and Tyrese Rice and Guy Panini and Yogev and Joe Engel. Like, that rookie year team I was on was amazing, not only from a talent perspective, but for me as a young guy, just to learn from how they handled themselves off the court, how they shot extra after practice, how they lifted, how they took things seriously. Like, as a young, impressionable rookie, that was incredibly powerful, and I stole a bunch of stuff from all of them.
So you talked about you kind of only came in being like, I'm going to get a D1 scholarship, and this might be it. When in your college career did you start thinking, okay, actually there might be something more to this?
Yeah, I think junior year, when I started to play against guys that really had a bunch of draft type, and I was doing really well against them, I knew, like, oh, I guess I'm at that level too. Maybe not, no one really wants to draft the 22-year-old 6'10" American white guy, but I knew that if these guys are lottery picks that I'm playing against, and I'm, doing really well, that I'm at least gonna make money somewhere. Mm-hmm. I didn't know a whole lot about European basketball at the time, but that's when it started to click of like, okay, I can maybe pursue this and play for a few years, see some of the world, and make a few dollars and have fun. But that was when it clicked, was junior year, I think. There was no particular game, but we had a stretch where we played like Duke, Montana. Who else did we play junior year? Kansas. And I think after that run, all those teams had, big time recruits, guys that were going to get drafted, and I had good games, and I felt like I was on their level, and I could do the things I wanted to do against them. Okay, I'm in good shape here. So
before we get into the overseas, you were at Davidson from 2009 to 2013, correct? You were there for 4 full years. You played a lot. Went into the
to say the least.
Went into the starting lineup. You were really thriving there. I want to touch on it because you also said you were talking about how your first overseas contract was invested. That's what you learned from home.
Yeah.
Now guys are going to school and they're getting paid their freshman year of college
Yeah.
with NIL.
Millions.
Transferring all the time. You know, people are going to the draft and still being able to have college eligibility. What do you have to say to these guys who have their contract so young and like might not know what to do? And then a second question, you talked about your junior year being so good. Did you think about transferring ever, or at that time that wasn't such a thing?
I'll answer your second question first while it's fresh. There were a few approaches of like, hey, do you want to transfer here? But it didn't make any sense to. I love Davidson. I love the situation. I love the coach. We had a really good team. So we were getting the opportunities of a big school. You know, we were playing against Duke. We were playing in the Bracket Busters. We were playing in great holiday tournaments. Playing in the SoCon was not ideal, but we were pretty sure that we were going to win it and then go to the tournament. So it didn't make any sense because there was no dollar value. We were talking, if I played now, there's no chance I could have stayed at Davidson because someone would have offered me such a crazy number I couldn't have turned it down. You know, after winning Freshman of the Year at Davidson, someone would have offered me $1 million to go to a Power 5 school or whatever, and you have to take it. You just don't know what basketball will bring you. You might get hurt. You might stop playing well. Things might happen. You got to take that money. So it was something I never really considered, but why these guys do it now, I get. But I still think the system needs to be fixed a little bit. It's a little bit too crazy.
So back to my first question, what's some advice you might have to these guys who really don't know what to do in this certain situation?
Well, the short answer would be to talk to someone like me, because I've seen how basketball players manage their money. This is exactly the line of work I'm in. I'm very passionate about helping basketball players manage it in the right way.
All you listeners, tap in. Jake Cohen.
But the long answer is that it's very hard to make good, responsible decisions when you're 19 in general, and then you want to make good, responsible decisions about something you know very little about. The public school system in America doesn't have any financial literacy requirements, which I thought was nuts. And it's only because I had the privilege of growing up with 3 financial professionals in my nuclear family that I knew anything about it. So you're going to make some decisions. If I was 18 and I got $1 million, I would make some bad decisions with it, which is why it's so important for those guys to have someone responsible and trusted looking over their shoulder, preparing them for the ball will stop bouncing one day. And if you just make a few good decisions from age 18 to however long you play with your money, you can set yourself up for a ton of financial freedom later on down the road. And it doesn't take that big a sacrifice. It just takes an understanding. So find someone you trust to talk to about it. Try to educate yourself. And if none of those things, just give me a call. I'm happy to help.
I really do think we're in a unique part of college basketball where people at the age of 18 years old don't have to be going pro and they can set themselves up for life. And for people like you to come in and help people in that endeavor is absolutely incredible.
Yeah, well, it used to be that if you wanted to make any money playing basketball, you had to go overseas after. If you weren't an NBA player, that you might have to grind through playing in Finland or playing in Estonia or playing in Hungary and these places that are not going to be on your bucket list to visit unless you're making money. But now those guys, they might not have to do that because they've made such a nice nest egg in college. And if they take care of themselves properly, they don't have to take those bad jobs. They have the freedom now to say, I want to pursue this because I care about it. I want to start a business. I want to do whatever it is that they care about. They don't have to go grind in second division wherever.
Italy, Georgia.
Well, Italy
sounds pretty
kind of
sick.
nice. But
Italy might be worth
getting to your junior year of Davidson, where you said you started thinking about, I'm going up against these lottery picks. I think I can go pro. Senior year comes around. You finish your career at Davidson. When was it like, oh, I'm gonna go to Israel? I think did you get a passport?
I got my passport after my freshman year at Davidson. They asked me to come play for the under-20 national team.
Okay.
And I had no idea how valuable the passport was. I just thought that was a cool thing to do in the summer.
So maybe let's back it up to that. Let's go to your U20 with the Israel national team. What was that like? You got your passport. What was it like playing with them?
It was awesome. The first day I got here, they had arranged that each weekend I would go to a different teammate's house to spend Shabbat and the weekend, and then during the week I would live at Wingate in Netanya. So they were so hospitable to me. I was in a country I'd never been to before, and they were awesome to me. So that was cool, getting really close with them. And then the basketball was just kind of like a bonus. You know, I was happy to help in any way I can. I didn't have any preconceived notions. I didn't know what the level was like over here. I've never played overseas basketball at all. And I just knew they needed a big guy. Cool, I'm happy to help. The coach before the first game, he says, Jake, I just want you to focus on playing defense and rebounding. Okay, great. Happy to, coach. No problem. I think we played Sweden. I think we lost, and I had like 15 points or something like that. And the next game against Georgia and Shengelia, I think I had like 33. And I wanted to afterwards be like, do you still want me to focus on? No, 33 against Georgia.
Oh, wow.
And I was feeling cheeky back then because I was, 19. I wanted to talk smack, but I still wanted to ask him after the game, like, do you want me to still focus on rebound defending even though I just scored 33? But it was after that game that I had the confidence that I'm like, okay, I can do this over here too. Like, I can play against these guys. They're really good players, but I can still do this. And then that's when my teammates started to look for me more. Well, it obviously happened in the Georgia game too, but from then on, I was like the main guy on that team. I think I finished as the leading scorer in the tournament, and it was awesome. It was a great introduction to not only overseas basketball, but also like Israelis, because I was on the team with them, and they really embraced me with open arms. And ever since then, I was like, okay, these are my people. These guys are awesome. I love Israelis.
So you're like 19, 20 years old. 19 years old at the time, and you're dropping 33 against Georgia. I'm sure there was like some agents talking to you already at that time.
Yeah, so maybe it was after that game, I don't remember. Some guy come up, he shook my hand. It was like in a movie where he had a piece of paper in his hand, and he passed me the note. And in the note, it said 2 years, 400. That's all it said on the note. I was like, what the hell does this mean? Is this a contract offer? What is this? And then a phone number at the bottom. Obviously, I never called it. I had no interest in leaving Davidson. But yeah, there was some sketchy stuff going on at those under-20 tournaments.
Did it start, playing in the under-20 tournament, did it start planting that seed in your head of you wanted to come play here and you wanted to play overseas?
I'd like to say it did, but I was just so focused on playing at Davidson, I hardly thought about it. All I wanted to do was go play in March Madness. That was a huge goal of mine since being a little kid. It was me and my brother's favorite weekend every year. Is the first weekend of March Madness when there's 100 games on from Thursday through Sunday. And all I wanted to do was be a part of that. So I was really laser focused on how I could get Davidson back to the tournament. And I didn't even think about playing overseas again really until senior year, when I was like, okay, I think I can be a pro, but I don't know if I'm going to get drafted. So what's it going to look like?
Mm-hmm.
Did you end up bringing Davidson to the tournament?
Yeah, twice. Junior and senior year.
So what was the tournament like?
It was awesome. My junior year, we ran into Louisville with Peyton Siva and Gorgie Dang and Russ Smith.
Hell of a team.
Shane Bohannon. They were stacked. I played really well, but they were just too much for us. They go to the Final Four and lose. And then the next year, we were really good, and we lose to Marquette at the buzzer.
Whoa.
And
March Madness.
It still hurts me to think about, because I think that team could have really gone far. We had a really, really good team. Tons of pros, guys that are still playing now on that roster. And most of us were older, experienced. And if we win that game, I think we make a lot of noise in the tournament.
So after your senior year, what was the summer of 2013 like?
It was playing Summer League with the Suns, because I had, I think, 10 or 11 NBA workouts, but I didn't get drafted. And Maccabi and a team in Spain wanted me to come play. Maccabi offer was obviously a lot better because of the passport. So I signed with Maccabi, but I wanted to pursue the NBA because maybe I could, make a roster through the Summer League.
Before the Summer League?
I signed with Maccabi before the Summer League, but I had an NBA out. So they let me go play summer league to see how it would go. And I made the mistake of going to Phoenix, who showed the most interest in me pre-draft. They had me like, I guess, number 2 on their board. Didn't draft me. But they were going through a overhaul. They bring in who's the coach? I can't remember. But anyway, whoever the new coach was, he brought 7 roster players from the NBA team last year. So me and all the other undrafted guys, we never saw the floor. So summer league was just me hanging out in my hotel room, collecting per diem and pocketing it because I loved the idea of them giving me cash every day. That was such a new concept for me. I felt like a pro.
This was in Vegas?
Yeah. And then after that, in the early August, I flew to Tel Aviv to start my professional career.
Did you feel like that if you were given the opportunity in that you probably wouldn't have stayed with Maccabi?
If Phoenix had offered me a roster spot?
If you just had an if do you think there's something would have gone a little bit different?
No, because I don't think I was an NBA player at that time.
Okay.
I think I got to a level later in my career where I could have helped an NBA team.
Mm-hmm.
But no, at that time, no, I was not an NBA player. The market has a pretty good idea of who belongs where.
So summer league didn't really turn out the way you expected it to turn out. And then in August, you come to Tel Aviv, you get off the flight. This isn't a 10-day, 2-week trip. This is for a whole year now. You get off that flight and you're like, oh shit, like I'm really doing this now. What was going through your mind when you actually landed in Israel?
First few weeks were really hard. You have a lot of that imposter syndrome. Maybe I'm not good enough to be here. Maybe they made a mistake. Maybe I'm not cut out for this. And there were a lot of long phone calls when you're jet lagged and you can't sleep with family. You're missing them like crazy. I would say that first month was really, really hard. And I wanted to quit 50 times. But I had never done that before, and I knew I was going to at least see 1 year through, no matter how hard it was. And I think I made the mistake of coming. They asked me to come even before everyone else came to get extra workouts in because I was a young guy, and they wanted to, get me in shape or whatever. So it was just me doing individual workouts without any of my teammates, and it was really hard because I had no one to hang out with. I had no one to show the city.
Because when you're not playing basketball,
I didn't know what to do. I don't know myself around, know how to get around it all. And then when my teammates finally came, they understand what it's like to be a rookie in a new city. Hey, Jake, come out to eat with us after practice. This is where you get your groceries. This is where you get your haircut. Like all these little things that you just don't think about anymore. But it's just so nice to have someone older than you show you how to do it. And once that started, I was like, okay, I'm starting to like this. These guys are amazing. But those first few weeks before they got there, I was questioning everything.
Do you have FaceTime then?
Did we have FaceTime? No, those were in the Skype days, man.
Wow, Skype days.
This was 2013.
Doing a lot of Skyping?
A lot of Skyping. A lot of Skyping on my laptop that probably weighed 25 pounds.
Wow. The technology in your time here has been crazy, and you're actually at the hub of tech.
I know.
So it's crazy. But you talk about that. You also talked about that team that year. That was a stacked team.
The EuroLeague champion.
Right. Yeah. So you go there for 10 games. Is that correct? You think about
EuroLeague game. I was at Maccabi until I think February.
Until February.
Yeah.
And then they decided to loan you out to Rishon. Everyone was involved. Everyone wanted this to happen. You go to Rishon to get a spot where you're actually like playing a lot more and you can get familiar with the league. Mm-hmm. So what was that like being on that team until February, having to leave and then also see them win the EuroLeague championship? But just your individual self, what was it like your first year here?
I knew we were really good. I didn't know we were EuroLeague champion level of good, but I could understand why I wasn't playing because these guys, they're 30 years old plus. They've been doing it a long time. They know things I don't know. They're stronger than me. They're smarter than me. Like all the tools that I had later, just being more experienced, being smarter, I had none of those at 23. So I could understand why I wasn't playing. I wasn't mad at that part. But I had a long-term contract with Maccabi, and I thought the best way I could prepare myself, let me go get experience elsewhere.
How long was the contract?
So it was 2 years guaranteed with an option for a third year, option for a fourth year. And
player option or team option?
Team option.
Team option.
and I convinced them to let me go get some experience at Rishon, which was
This
great.
was your idea.
It was definitely my idea because I was like, I don't think I'm getting myself that much better just with these practices and stuff. I want game experience. I want, to learn how, because practicing games are just going to be inherently different. And I think they just wanted me there, in case something happened. They're just, another body, another big guy, whatever. But going to Rishon, them letting me go to Rishon was, I think, really big for my development because, again, it proved to me that I could play in the Israeli League. I could do it against really good competition. I had a few, really nice games. So that gave me a lot of confidence where if I had just sat the bench the whole year, even if I was on the EuroLeague championship team when we won, but I hadn't played at all, I think I would have been worse off for it.
And then now this past year, Rishon wins the second league. Did you have a little bit of sentimental to that? Were you like, oh, let's go, Rishon's back in the first league? No,
not at all.
Not at
He
all.
said, it's all right. I spent a couple games there.
Yeah, I mean they were great to me. I have no ill will towards Rishon whatsoever. But I spent 4 months there 12 years ago. It's like,
So that next summer, you go back home, and then you come back to Israel again for a second year. So coming back to Israel for that second year, you had that year also another stacked team, right? This is also when like Denny's coming out, or that's later.
that's later.
Way later on. But I want to move through a little bit because it's a long career.
Yeah.
So after your second year in Maccabi, fine, you go back home. Now you're getting familiar with overseas life. This is only your third year. You didn't know you would end up being in Israel for 9 years, 10 years. You end up going to Greece.
Yeah.
So what was that process like, leaving Israel to go to your next stop?
Well, I got cut.
Okay.
I had what I thought was a really good year for a 24-year-old at Maccabi, but we lost in the semifinals of the Israeli League. So they cut me, and I was like, oh man, I thought I was coming back for sure. I had a good year, even though the team didn't, like, I'm developing. I thought I had obviously a big jump from year 1 to year 2, and that hit me really hard. Like, man, this is tough out here. Like, I thought I had done the best that I could, and still, now what? I thought I was. Now I'm looking for how can I get some experience in Europe. So that's why Greece appealed to me, because they were playing in Euro Cup, and I went to go play in Greece. And we had a really good team again. And the foreman that was ahead of me was Carl White. And he was the MVP of the league. He signs with the Miami Heat after that year. Mm-hmm. So I was behind him. So, again, I get a little bit unlucky. Like, I can't play that much because Carl's a stud. And the next year, I had to take another step down. I didn't have any European offers after year 3. That was actually when Jerusalem signed me and loaned me to Greece. I don't know if you guys know about that. Not a whole lot of people know about that. But yeah, so after
what happened there?
So after Maccabi cut me after year 2, Jerusalem calls me and they said, we want to sign you, but we already have all our Israelis for the next year. So go play wherever you want this next year, and we'll bring you in the year after. Okay, cool. Jerusalem's high-level team. Sounds great. So I go to Greece. I don't have a great year because I'm behind Okaro, but I don't have a bad year either, and the team's really good, so I think I'm in good shape. But after that year, Jerusalem calls me, we're cutting you. Okay, so now I have been cut twice in 2 years, and I'm wondering if I'm cut out for this because I keep going down. I was like, okay, I'll just play one more year at like a low pressure place and just have some fun with it. I'll pick a good city and just enjoy basketball and not put so much pressure on myself.
Would you say this is where the passport really came in handy?
The passport had come in handy. I wouldn't have gotten the Maccabi Tel Aviv offer without the passport.
Okay.
In Greece, it was helpful because I didn't count as a foreigner, playing for Aris in Greece. So it had already proven really helpful.
Aris is also a legendary club.
Yeah. Yes, it is. But playing for Ashdod in year 4, for sure it was helpful. But the passport's been helpful every year. It's hard to say one is more important than the other.
So you end up going to Ashdod.
Mm-hmm.
And then that year in Ashdod, I guess you can call it a breakout year?
Yes.
So what was that year like?
It was a coach who finally let me play 30 minutes, and I felt like I had learned a lot from the previous 3 years, not only on the court but off the court too. And I was just having a lot of fun playing. And the expectations are different at a place like Ashdod, and the vibes are different. Like, you just really have fun playing, knowing that if you make the playoffs, like, that's amazing. You did great. But if not, no big deal. You know, and that's very different coming from a place like Maccabi, a place like Aris, where being at legendary clubs comes with big-time pressure. So that lined up with playing for Mayor Tapiro, who gave me a great opportunity of just being on the court for 30 minutes a game.
Israeli legend.
Yeah, I owe him a lot, because without him giving me that opportunity, who knows if I go back to Maccabi and do all the things I did in my career after that.
So we're 45 minutes in. If we keep going at this rate, this might become a 2-hour pod. I want to hear everything. Trust me, I'm sure our listeners want to.
I'm getting
nothing to apologize for. This is incredible.
We might just have to do a part 2 sometime.
Okay.
But when we get to this point in the episode, we like to stop and do this little segment. It's called Myth or Fact. Okay. So I'm just gonna start it off. Myth or fact: if you stay with one EuroLeague club for years, your spot is secure.
Myth.
And then you can elaborate.
You can elaborate on that.
Yeah, I mean, Maccabi cut me 3 times in my career. It's like I have such. I think I'm as big a Maccabist as anyone out there, but it's still a business.
Right.
And if you start putting on rose-tinted glasses, you're going to be blinded by the business aspect of it. No one's spot is guaranteed. Maybe John now. John's kind of cemented. But no, it doesn't work like that. You always have to prove yourself. You always have to contribute, add value. There's no safe places.
Next one.
So myth or fact: being a great teammate matters more overseas than raw talent.
That's a good one. Being a great teammate is more important. I would say that's a myth. I would like it to be a fact, but there are tons of clubs who will sign talented guys who are assholes all the time. Mm-hmm. And I think it's why a lot of those clubs are unsuccessful, but it happens all the time. I would very much like it to be different than that, but that's just, I mean, I think clubs or coaches, they think they can change him. Like, no, just let me get my hands on this guy and I'll set him straight and he'll be a good teammate. I know he's the most talented guy in the world, and I know he's been cut 12 times in 3 years, but we can change him, so they bring a guy in. Or a guy who's a great teammate who had a good year, they don't bring him back because they have an opportunity to get a more talented player, and then that throws off the chemistry of the whole team. You see that all the time. So, unfortunately, that one's a myth.
So, going on to our next one, I actually like this one. Myth or fact: college systems like Davidson actually prepare players better for Europe, overseas, than one-and-done programs.
Yeah, fact. Fact, for sure. So the way we played was very similar to a European system, but more importantly than what happens on the court is what happens off the court. That you get to build a culture, you get held responsible in a much higher way at a place like Davidson, where I think where a lot of schools fail those kids is they don't give them the structure, the feedback to where if you're not doing what you need to be doing, they know that this kid has a bunch of other options, so he's either going to transfer or he's just going to leave. So they don't want to rock the boat. But at a place like Davidson, especially with the coach that we had, it was a great environment for building yourself as a person and as a player, and that prepares you for living overseas 10 months without your family, all that stuff we talked about already. That's what prepares you more so than just the X's and O's, which is true also, by the way.
So then the next one for myth or fact, you touched on this a little bit, but veterans overseas have more job security than younger imports.
Fact, for sure.
Yeah?
Yeah, that one's easy. I think an unfortunate part of it is that it's a lot easier for the coach or the club or the GM or whoever it is to justify signing an older guy because, oh, he has this experience. Versus if you sign a young guy and it doesn't work out, now your job might be on the line. Mm-hmm. You see what I mean? Mm-hmm. So it's easier to get your head around, we'll sign this guy, he played at XYZ, versus let's take a chance on this kid. He might be good, but he might not. But if he fails, I'm on the hook for it.
But do you think that's changing now? Because I do see more guys coming at a younger age overseas rather than taking the G League route.
Well, what level are we talking about in terms of EuroLeague?
Maybe not EuroLeague because a lot of guys from NBA, but like even looking at the first league, a guy like Jimmy Clark, Bnei Herzliya signed him as a rookie. You know,
the Israeli league teams outside of the top 3 or 4, they've always taken those young guys out of college. And
but now he's on Maccabi.
Yeah, and sometimes it really works out.
Right.
Sometimes it doesn't. But I do think Israel does a good job of being a great place for those college rookies to come play. Obviously, it's good on the court because they get opportunities to play, but it's an easy transition off the court too versus going to – I feel bad picking on Estonia, but like if you go play in Estonia your rookie year, you're going to have a harder time versus if you come to play in Israel your rookie year.
I really hope no Estonians listen.
I know. I've actually been to Estonia many times, and Tallinn is a lovely city, by the way. Okay. Old Town Tallinn is a beautiful place.
So let's hope they hear that part.
Way to make up for it.
No, I know. I'm being unfair, but it's just a cold place.
Sure. And there's a lot of places that we've heard on our show that you go there for your first year, or even in your 5th year, and it's all about the off the court.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know, the on the court's so important, but at the end of the day, you're living there for
sure.
10 months.
Yeah.
Going to our last myth or fact. Most players wait too long to think about money and life after basketball.
Absolute fact. I
could have guessed that one.
I wouldn't have a job right now if that were a myth. So,
right.
Yeah, definitely true.
So, moving back to the questions, moving along, you had the Maccabi Ashdod year. Now we go back to Maccabi Tel Aviv for 1, 2, 3, 4 years, correct?
3.
3 years. 3 years before Spain.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the first time we had Maccabi for a longer time. Mm-hmm. What was that like having not job security, but being with the same team for those 3 years?
Yeah, the opposite of job security because Maccabi hadn't won a league title in so long, and we felt a lot of pressure. So where if we lost another league championship, like they're just going to clean house again. Because when I showed up, they had already just cut like everybody. I don't know if you remember that year. Like they released Yogi and Guy and Sylvan and Gal Meckel and all the foreigners too. And they brought in me and John and Kara Mashur, and I think Itai was the only returning player. Itai Seget was the only returning player on that team. And so I didn't feel safe by any means.
When was Katash in the picture? Is that later down?
Oda didn't sign with Maccabi until 2022.
Okay, so this is after Spain.
Yeah.
Okay, so continue. Sorry.
Yeah, so we were able to win. We won an Israeli championship all 3 years I was there, and then it was only because COVID happened that I left. I wanted to stay, but they didn't know their budget or whatever. So
COVID happens, right? Now you're a veteran at this point.
Yeah.
And COVID happens. You go back home to Philly?
No, I was here in Israel.
You were in Israel.
And I stayed the whole time because they were telling the league was going to come back, and it did. So when it came back in July, I had been here the whole time. Me and my family were in Tel Aviv the whole time.
So COVID breaks out in March, and you're here with your family.
Until July.
What was that like, just being off the court, having to be here and not play basketball?
I mean, it was fine. We were in a good situation. We liked our apartment. We loved Tel Aviv. You couldn't do anything when you were back home either, so it didn't make a huge difference to us. We had our little crew in the apartment, so it wasn't too bad. We were happy to be there, and then the fact that it came back and it was justified staying.
It's like one of the first leagues, no, to come back. Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah, I think so.
So then, talk us through that move over to Spain. When did that come into play? What was that like?
So I was having my best year as a pro. We were the best as a team, so I thought for sure they'd want to bring me back. I had established myself as a backup four-man on the EuroLeague team that year, and so that was new for me, getting consistent minutes every game in the EuroLeague. and I was playing great in the Israeli league. I think we were first place in the league. So I thought for sure I was going to come back. But going back to that job security thing, no one knows. And then COVID happens. I'm getting job offers from other places, but I want to stay with Maccabi. So I'm passing on them. And finally, I say to Maccabi, listen, guys, I can't keep passing on these job offers. I need a job next year. My contract expires this summer. I need to put food on the table. If you don't come back to me with something in the next 2 weeks, I can only keep this team from Spain on the hook for 2 more weeks. I'm going to sign it if you don't bring me something. And unfortunately, they never brought me an offer, so I went to Spain. I would have loved to stay, but yeah.
Where was this in Spain?
Santiago de Compostela is the name of the city.
Okay.
Obradoiro was the name of the club that I went to.
So what was that like going to Spain? You had your year in Greece, been in Tel Aviv for a long time. What was it like off the court in Spain?
It was different. It was a COVID year. You know, lots of things were closed. You couldn't travel around freely. There were no fans in the stands. So I didn't really get a fair shake at what life was like in Spain. But I did say the food while we were there was incredible.
Yeah.
And you get it at half the price of Tel Aviv prices, which makes it taste even better.
Yeah, that's true.
So that was an awesome part of it. But it was only 1 year, and then the very next year I was back.
So I want to touch on one thing that you said just before, is that year before Spain, that COVID year, you established a role in the EuroLeague team. What's it like having all those years where you play so much on the Israeli league and then you go to EuroLeague just to sit on the bench and not play?
Yeah, it's
I
really
think it's a hot topic right now.
It's really frustrating, but I understood that the Israeli roster looks different than the EuroLeague roster. The Israeli roster has 5 foreigners max, so obviously there's more opportunities for Israeli players to play. That being said, it takes a special kind of coach to take an Israeli player and play them ahead of a foreigner when that Israeli player, in this case me, is not proven in the EuroLeague. But you don't get proven in the EuroLeague until you get a chance. And it took someone willing to give me a chance, in this case Giannis, to give me some minutes, give me a role that I think I did really well in. And then from there, it became a lot easier to justify, I'm a European player, this is what I can do, and I can prove it now. You have this experience, but the weekly battle of I just scored 20 points in the Israeli game and now I'm not going to play on Thursday was something I saw going back to even my rookie year, my second year. I would watch Sylvan Landsberg do that. He would score 30 against Haifa on Sunday and then not play on Thursday. And having that early exposure to it, I don't think it made me any easier for me, but these are things that are ultimately out of my control. I can't control what the coach does in terms of playing me. I can only make it as hard on him as possible so that he has to play me, and that was my approach. I'm just going to keep my head down and work so that when I do get put in there, I've prepared myself as much as possible. Again, that preparation thing, it's a common theme with me that I'm only done my job properly. I can't blame anyone else if I haven't prepared properly. And so I think one of the things I was good at was when I did get that opportunity to play, I was ready for it because I had worked my butt off and I had not, talked shit about the coach or, talk trash in the media or anything like that. Sure. I had just, kept my head down and stayed focused so that when I did get a shot, I was ready.
So we can touch on it. I want to kind of hear your opinion on it. We can pass on it because I know they might be some of your friends. But what would you tell someone who might be getting double their contract from another place, but they're just not going to play the whole year?
Well, I think it depends on if their situation is worth it. You mean in turn they get twice as much money to not play?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I have no problem with guys taking the money. At the end of the day, this is a job, and you don't know when you're going to see sums like that again in your life. I will never criticize a player for taking money.
But wouldn't it make it harder to get a contract that next year?
Which is why it depends on where you are in your career. If you're a 24-year-old, I would say it's probably better for you to go play. The money will come later. But if you're 30, 31, 32, by all means, take that money, man.
For sure.
Because you just don't know. You don't know when it's going to happen again.
That definitely makes sense. So after Spain, you come back to Israel, Maccabi Tel Aviv again. You got 2021, 2022, 2022, 2023, 23, 24, 24, 25. And then you retired last year. I think a lot of fans were sad about it, but it had to be done. Talk about those last 4 seasons with Maccabi Tel Aviv, where it really became a home, and Tel Aviv really took you as one of their own, not just for the club, but as the city itself.
Well, I think we could do a whole podcast just on the last 4
Part 2,
years
Part
there.
3.
Yeah, I mean, you have the 2021-2022 year, which was a big-time struggle. We were not very good. We had coaching change.
This is Katash now.
No, this was we started with Giannis. He gets fired, and Avi Evan becomes our coach.
Okay.
That was in 21-22. And then after that, starting the 22 season, that's when Oded gets hired. And then, we're on the up and up.
Was there an immediate switch once Katash came in?
No, because Oded's system takes a little while to get adjusted to. It's quite different than a lot of other coaches. It's a lot of reads. It takes a lot of thinking on your feet, and it's unorthodox for many guys. So we did not have a good start when Oded came. But once guys started to learn the system, once we started to gel and come together, we really looked like a good team, and we were. And we made the playoffs, and we went and took Monaco to 5 games. But it was not a smooth process. I remember people thinking that Oded was going to get fired in November of that first year.
Not the only time.
Well, yeah, for sure. But it just plays back into the crazy expectations that are at Maccabi.
Right.
And most of the time they're irrational expectations. You have a brand new coach with a almost brand new team. What do you expect? You're not going to be in the top 4 in the standings. EuroLeague's really good. There's a ton of good teams that spend a lot of money with all that experience, and their cores are back and all that stuff. It takes a while. All the best teams in EuroLeague have cores, except for Hapoel Tel Aviv this year.
Speaking about Katash, just because we're on the topic, we spoke with Willie Workman on the show, and we also spoke with John D. And they praised Katash very highly, although at first it might not be so easy, and it might not be the easiest system. What do you kind of have to say about Oded Katash?
I love him. I could do a whole podcast, I think, on my love for Oded Katash. But since we're pressed for time, I respect him so much because he's true to himself. He doesn't try to be anything he's not. He loves basketball. He has a great system. He treats people with respect, and he treats his stars the same way he treats the guys at the end of the bench, which I really respect too, is that he holds people responsible in the same way. And for me personally, he was the one that gave me opportunities to be a starter on the national team, back in 2018. He was the one that put me in the starting lineup in EuroLeague games. I went from getting cut 3 times by Maccabi to being a starter on 2 EuroLeague playoff teams. And I don't think that happens without Oded Katash giving me that chance. So I owe him a ton in my career, and he always showed me a lot of respect and a lot of confidence, and he has you'll never hear me say anything but a good word about Oded because he deserves it.
So now moving over a little bit towards the retirement section, was that something that was clear to you that you wanted to retire, or was that a kind of a slow burning developing thing?
It was a slow burn developing thing. I had a pretty good idea that last year was going to be my last year. I was getting over it from a mental and physical side. The pains and aches started to add up. I started to not like my job quite as much as I had before, and that was a pretty big sign to me.
Yeah.
Like, no one likes to travel that much. No one likes to do all the bullshit that's around basketball, but you put up with it because you have such an amazing job and you get to play.
Probably the hardest 2 years as well.
For sure. There was a lot of extracurricular stuff to deal with.
So before we get deeper into the retirement phase, let's speak about, you have your first 2 years in Maccabi Tel Aviv. You got the 2022 year where Katash comes in. And then 2023, we have October 7th. And it hits us hard. You've already basically lived most of your adult life in Israel. Mm-hmm. How did that kind of affect you just off the court?
It affected me a ton. But I realized I had a unique opportunity to help because I could explain to the Americans why this is so significant and why their Israeli teammates are hurting so much. And I can explain to the Israeli guys on the team that the Americans, as much as like we explain it to them, they can never understand what that was like. So I had a unique role in that after October 7th to be even more of a bridge between the Israeli guys and the American guys, which is something that I got really good at, and I think Maccabi recognized that value in me. But after that, it was really emphasized on my part that I could do something special there, because this is something that no other team had to deal with. It was only us, on that island living in Belgrade by ourselves. So being a good teammate and being a good leader at that moment was a huge challenge for me, and that's what I took upon myself, to try to keep everyone together in those moments, to be empathetic of everybody. The Israeli guys, they want to be home in Israel with their families. The American guys don't want to be in Israel because they don't feel safe. So you have all these conflicting things to deal with. You want everyone to understand each other, which they do, but you have people pulling in different directions. And then at the end of the day, you have to play well together on the court, which is like the last thing anyone was thinking of in the weeks and months following October 7th. And so I had a unique perspective for handling that and trying to do the best I could, which in the time that passed, I've had people come up to me and say that they appreciate what I did after that, because I remember in the first game we played Valencia away. That was the first game we played after October 7th. And you could see like the Israeli guys were in a funk. Like I think they kind of felt guilty about like playing the game, and I can totally understand. And I just put it on myself to try to be as positive as I could, like to show like, hey, you guys are on TV. Israelis are watching you right now. Let's be something positive for them right now. I didn't say that, but just like trying to communicate that with body language, with positivity, with good vibes, and I think that was received pretty well by my teammates.
That's wow. I mean, also that's so much weight on your shoulders as well. I mean, you're a veteran at this point. You've been a leader for many, many years. But what personal toll did that kind of take on you to be able to take that role of such heavy weight on your shoulders?
Before you answer that, crazy coincidence. You said that was your first game after October 7th was against Valencia. Mm-hmm. First game back to Israel was also, I think, against Valencia.
Right.
And they won.
Mm-hmm.
So that's...
Well, we didn't win there.
But crazy how that works.
I wouldn't say it like took a toll on me. I'm always thinking like, how can I be the best teammate I can be? And that seemed apparent to me. That's how I can help. Mm-hmm. Not all the times. There were lots of times where I wasn't playing. So I think, okay, I got to add some value somehow. I'll add value by being a good teammate, by being positive, by being a hard worker. And just in that moment, I thought I can be a really good teammate right now. I can help these Israeli guys. I can help these foreigners. Whatever it needs to be, that's what I'm going to do. I didn't take it as a toll. I didn't take it as anything negative. It was something that I saw the opportunity that I can help, and I'm going to do it.
And then how tough was it kind of saying bye to that 2022, 2023 team? Because as a fan, that team was special. Lorenzo, Bonzi, Wade, like you guys were special, and obviously we thought we'd go a little, like Maccabi would go a little farther. But injuries took a toll on the team and all of that. And I think you guys mostly thought that all those guys would be coming back, right?
Yeah.
And then October 7th happens, and it's nothing to judge them on, like obviously not, but for obvious reasons they don't come back. So how tough was that as well? Or
really hard. Those guys we had something special on the court, and because of all the things we went through, we had something special off the court too. And we were a really close team, and I think we all kind of saw the writing on the wall that it's not going to continue. I mean, how could it? We're playing so well. These guys are going to get offers from all the big clubs. Maccabi is in no position to get anywhere close to that. So it made it easier knowing that it's not like Maccabi could have done anything about it. But it still hurt because it just made the job so fun to play with Lorenzo and Wade was just such a treat every day, not only because of what happened on the court, but what happened off it. I mean,
And y'all meshed so well.
yeah, I mean, I was at Wade's wedding this past summer. I got invited to Bonzi's wedding next summer, and that's just a small indication of like the bonds that team had.
When October 7th happened and you were here, what was like the response from a lot of your like former teammates that aren't Israeli?
I got a lot of great messages from people I didn't expect to, that showed their support and positivity. It was unexpected, and it went a long way. There was a lot of that I didn't. I mean, I'm just trying to like look out for my family in the days that followed and stuff, and then to get messages like that really meant a lot. And I think a lot of other guys got similar stuff too, so that was nice.
And then going back to the last season, you're kind of feeling the pain, a lot of flights, which also takes a toll on the body. And
Especially as a 35-year-old.
yeah, and playing a grown man game too in the EuroLeague and all of that. So you're kind of feeling like this is it. So we talked about preparation. That's a big thing for you, preparing in all aspects of life. You prepared for your retirement. Now you retire. You're no longer a Maccabi Tel Aviv player, professional player. What's it been like going into that next career?
Yeah, it was. I knew it was going to be a challenge. I knew it was going to be hard, but I felt like I had prepared as well as any basketball player could have. And so far, it's been really great. It's not a basketball player. You don't get these huge adrenaline rushes, but it has been really fulfilling to know that if I do a good job in my line of work now, me doing a good job now is much more significant than me doing a good job as a basketball player. If I have a great game, I score 20 points and we win, great. Good job, Jake. Next game's on Thursday. If I do a good job as a financial advisor now and my client can retire when they want to, or they can send their kids to college, or they can buy the house they want to, that's a much more significant feeling than just playing well. Basketball is an amazing job, but it's a game. It's fickle. Like at the end of the day, we're not changing people's lives in any significant way. But now what I do now, I can change someone's life in a very significant way if I do a good job. And that's been really fulfilling to get started on, to learn more about, to figure out how I can get there. And that significance I've really liked, because basketball I love. I've devoted my life to it. But it lacked that, like, I'm not really helping the world by being a great basketball player. I'm helping myself and my family, sure, but the ability to be able to help people now has really kept me excited and happy that I'm in this line of work now.
And we spoke about it on the way in here, but what's it like coming back to Israel now, getting off the plane? You're not going to play ball, and you're visiting Israel. You said it was for work, but
yeah.
Visiting Israel for the first time post-career.
Yeah, this has probably been the hardest part of my transition, is being in Israel this week, because like I was staying with John my first couple nights in Israel, and the first morning he left to go to shoot around and I left to go to a meeting with a potential client, and I was like, man, I'd really like to just go shoot right now. Like, that sounds fun. Play some shooting games, warm up, talk with my boys. That sounds great. So being here and not playing basketball has been really, really hard, because it's never happened before. I've never taken a trip to Israel and not played basketball. So I felt like kind of lost and disoriented. Like, what am I doing here? And so it's been a hard week mentally, but I am really happy to be here, to see people, and it's just definitely thrown me off that I'm here in a new space, and it's going to take some adjusting.
You ever get stopped in the States, like, oh, Jake Cohen, Maccabi Tel Aviv?
No. I mean, I got stopped. When was the last time I got recognized? I mean, only like on the flight here,
right.
in the gate outside the El Al.
So is it?
That counts.
I wanted to ask, is it like funny, like kind of like when you finally land here again and like everyone, we walked in and everyone's like, "Yo, Jake Cohen, it was good."
I go from anonymous tall guy to being recognized. So, which I think is good. It keeps me humble enough to realize that it's fickle, and yeah, it's part of it. I like that I'm only, if you want to use the word famous, in one small place, because then for most of it I can be anonymous, which I very much prefer. But again, it's like not that much. It's not a problem. I don't want to come off like it annoys me in any way. I love when people recognize me and we can talk hoops, and that's why this has been so fun.
So as we start to wrap up, normally we ask for one specific type of advice, but I think you're uniquely positioned to give multiple different types of advice.
I appreciate that.
And so I wanted to ask you kind of a twofold question.
Okay.
Which is, if there's someone out there who's looking to play a long overseas career, what is some advice you have for them? And then for them, the player that is now looking at their post-basketball career, what's some advice you have for them?
Great questions. First one, set yourself small goals for yourself. I think for any young player, it's easy to get caught up in, I want to make this amount per year, or I want to be a pro, or I want to, play EuroLeague. Well, how do you do that? That's a big, daunting task. But if you set yourself a small goal of, I want to improve this aspect of my game, or I want my team to achieve this goal this year, that's a more attainable thing, and you can work towards that. The small goal that you set for yourself will take care of the big stuff in the long term. For me as a high school player, getting a Division I scholarship was my short-term goal. As a D1 player, making March Madness. As a pro, it was winning the Israeli League. Then it was later getting into the EuroLeague rotation. Then it was getting to the EuroLeague playoffs. So it was always just these short-term goals that kept me driven, and I could see the target. It wasn't some big far-off thing of, I want to make $1 million a year, or I want to be a EuroLeague All-Star, whatever it is. So I would combine that with just be the best teammate you can, and if you can keep that in the back of your mind while you're going about it, it will be really hard to do. But you'd be amazed at how you can set yourself apart by being a great teammate, by suppressing your ego a bit and doing some things that put the team first, because you will see that pay off in the long run. It paid off for me many times as a Maccabi player. And as in terms of preparing for life after basketball, I would say that a lot of basketball players lack the confidence to chase what they want to do after basketball, when that absolutely shouldn't be the case. The same things that made you a successful basketball player will make you a successful whatever it is. You are hardworking. You have to be to get to this level. You're disciplined. You can make sacrifices. You're smart. No one that makes it to these levels lacks those four things. So if you take those four things and apply it to whatever it is you want to do next, you're already so far ahead of the competition. Like, think about how many people out there aren't willing to go live 10 months overseas in a place and try something like that. You were willing to do that, and then you adapted and did well. Those lessons, those characteristics that you have should give you confidence to do whatever it is you want to do if you approach it in the same way you approach basketball.
Wow.
It's amazing.
Wow.
Amazing. So as we finish every episode, we wrap up with a final segment. It's called the Shot Clock. We're going to go back and forth, and we're going to get some quick answers.
Love it.
Want to do the OG ones, or
yeah.
just to
Let's
finish
do it.
off? All right. You want to go first?
Yeah.
All right. 3, 2, 1.
Shawarma or falafel?
Shawarma.
Favorite Hebrew word?
I was going to curse. Sababa.
Home or away games?
Home.
Sweet or savory?
Sweet.
Mountains or beaches?
Beach.
Warm-up song?
I don't listen to music before the game.
Ooh. Night out or night in?
Night in.
Favorite musician?
Mount Joy.
Ooh.
Okay. Nice. Don't listen to music before the game?
No, I found that it gets me way too amped up. Like
You got to lock in.
I need
you
to
know?
stay calm. Like I'll maybe do a little reading. Maybe I'll play some chess. Like if I'll get too like amped up, I need to stay calm. I need to bring myself down and not bring myself
Was
up.
there reading something you picked up from Amari?
No, I don't know. When I played with Amari, I had already been reading and stuff before the games.
Like in the locker room, like right before the game?
No, I wouldn't do it right before the game, but like on the bus to an away game and
Yeah,
stuff,
yeah,
I would
yeah.
read. And then like in the locker room before the game, I was mostly just like
Meditating.
chilling. I wouldn't even call it meditating, just like relaxing,
Vibing out, chilling.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, letting
Well-
the heart rate sit at a healthy.
I hope our listeners really appreciated this show. This is our last one, like I said, at Reichman University. We did 66 strong episodes, and I think no better way to sum it up than this show that we had. And Jake, really appreciate you coming in and sharing with us all your amazing stories. Thank you.
Thanks. Yeah, I mean, if you want to do a part 2, we got 12 years means you get a lot of cool stories. So
Would absolutely love to do a part 2. I can tell you that right now.
wherever your next filming location is, you guys got to let me know.
For sure.
Good. So thank you for coming.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
my pleasure. Thanks for having me, guys.
Thank you.